Welcome to another episode of Jen's Basement, and I have something super exciting to show you guys today. This is an original Fluffy that Tom Savini, this is his own design, and he sculpted this thing for Creepshow, molded it, and I decided to make my own kind of Fluffy the way that I see it. So I'm going to show you guys from start to finish how I painted this thing and applied the hair and made eyes for it. This thing terrified me as a child. When I first saw it in the crate, it gave me nightmares. It was the scariest thing in the world. And I never thought in my entire life did I ever think would I ever have the chance to be making one of these things from the original mold. Let's get started. So I start off with latexing into the mold, and I want to get this pretty thick. I want to make sure that the ears are pretty thick in latex, so that way they're sustainable when I pull them out, they don't rip. Now I'm going to be mixing together the polyfoam mixture, part A and part B. I pour it in, I make sure I get it into the ears and the sides of the mold. And then I just kind of do this process of turning it and making sure that it gets onto the side so that it rises evenly. Till it looks like this. I even added just a little extra more. Sometimes you need to do this just to even things out. It makes it look more professional. It also lays flatter too if you want to lay it up on a surface. Now it's time to release it from the mold. I can only imagine that this is what the Creepshow people, this is what they did when it's the first thing that they saw when they pulled it out of the mold. Now I'm going to be making some eyes. Fluffy had some pretty yellow looking cat eyes. So I'm going to try to make a rendition of that. I'm going to make something kind of intense. So I use my black and my white paint. I get my inner eye and I paint them black completely. Now I'm building on top of it with white fibers, and I keep building on top of it just to get a more realistic and, you know, a more interesting dynamic look. As I go along, I keep increasing the opacity of the white paint so that it's more built upon looking. Now I'm reworking in some pupils, some cat pupils. And then I'm going to be reworking in some more fibers just to add in, you know, where I really want things to lay down since I added the pupil. Now I'm adding in the crystal clear to protect that paint job. Now I'm staining over top a kind of orange color. I wanted to play it safe because you can get pretty bright and vivid doing eyes. So I also added in a yellow, like a straight yellow on top of it, and it gave it a nice kind of glow that Fluffy's eyes have. Now I'm using some crystal clear to protect that paint job, and I put them in the pressure pot and release them from the pressure pot. I kind of play around now, deciding the placement of the eyes, because next I'm going to be mixing together some cotton and latex to build up eyelids for Fluffy. At first it may seem like a hot mess, but when you're sculpting with cotton and latex, it's kind of like a free-flowing experience. You gotta let it take its own form, and it does take its own form. And when it dries, it has a really organic look. So I keep working it in and make sure that it's clean, using a kind of like a surgical tool to move away any of the extra latex that I don't need. Now I'm painting it a kind of a murky green color. This is going to be the base. Using Prozade and acrylic paint to paint this guy with. Now I'm putting in a magenta tint, which acts as a red color, and when you mix red and you mix green together, you get a nice kind of a brown sort of color. And I go all over it, adding in the red, and I know I have to intense it up until it looks like this, because next I'm going to be adding in the skin tone, which is going to be more opaque. So I take my time really marking in the areas that are going to have more blood flowing and areas that are going to be more translucent. So this is the skin tone that I'm working in with a chip brush. I'm simply going over the top. It's almost dry brushing over the top, so it catches all the texture. Seems like it's pretty light, but Fluffy was gray, and I'm going to be toning this down anyway later on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm increasing the opacity in areas that are going to be poking out more. So that means like the cheekbones, areas where the skin is going to be thicker. I like to make sure that I increase the skin tone there. I'm using unbleached titanium, phthalo blue, and I believe burnt umber for that skin tone. So now I'm using a blue wash, and I'm kind of going over this just so that it unifies everything together. Because skin has all types of colors in there, and since this is a retouched Fluffy, I wanted to make sure that he had some kind of veining or something that could kind of bleed through. So I do that until I get this. I also worked in some magenta in there too. So now I'm giving it a sort of burnt umbery kind of a wash, toning it down. It's more on the yellowy side. And I also added in, as you can see, the darks around the mouth and the eyes and the nose and areas around there. And I'm working in the wrinkles, emphasizing the wrinkles with a dark color. I don't usually like to use extreme colors such as black or totally white when I'm painting something, but I do know that you can tone it down later. So now I'm just making all the detail pop, going in one at a time, because it's a shame to not emphasize those areas when they were all sculpted intentionally so that the creature could look more realistic. So now I'm popping in the eyeballs. Ta-da! Time to work in hair. Hair work. Hair work is going to be mentioned in one of my next videos. Probably not the next one, but probably within the next month, yes. I guarantee you the hair video will be released. But basically, this is just a little mini preview of what it looks like. And I use quite a lot of hair for this Fluffy, because, I mean, he's just fluffy. You gotta use a lot of hair. One layer at a time. So you can see in the paint job how all those colors that I used built up into this unified look, and I really, really like how the paint job turned out. So I add the hair, and this is what he looks like, and I'm kind of giving him a little bit of a haircut. Give him some layers, and I punched in some hair. This is going to be mentioned in the hair video of Fluffy. So this is basically it. Okay, so that's basically all there is to it. But no, this guy, he's going to go to my brother for an event. My brother is also a big Creepshow fan, and I thought this would be a great gift for him. And that's all there is to it. Be wary of the monsters out there, because they come in all shapes and sizes. Even if they're fluffy, they're fierce.
Family.